Talk you through writing an article, and the question that we're going to answer is this one here. We see an announcement in a telecommunications magazine which is called Keeping in Touch. This is the title of the announcement, and the subject of the announcement is whether relationships with families and friends and face-to-face contact with people is under threat from the increased use of modern technology, for example email and mobile phones. So whether email and mobile phones are threatening real contact, real face-to-face contact. It's also asking if technology is helping to improve communication, or if in fact we should get out and meet each other more. It asks you for your ideas, it asks us for our ideas, it asks us to give reasons for our views, and then says it will publish the most interesting articles. In this tutorial I'm going to talk through a couple of features of writing an article. The first features we're going to look at some stylistic features, we're going to look at the style of writing an article, and then we're going to look at some devices which will help to structure your articles a little better, make your writing a little bit clearer. So the first thing we're going to look at is the style of an article. The first thing that you'll notice is that we have a title, and here we have an eye-catching title. It's to chat or not to chat. Very often in the title you can play with words, and here it's playing with Shakespeare's words. Shakespeare's very famous quote, to be or not to be, and it's playing with that by saying to chat or not to chat. If your heading is not entirely clear, if your title is not entirely clear, you can also use a subtitle to make absolutely clear what the article is about. And this is about whether technology is killing the art of conversation. Some nice vocabulary here which sets the tone for what we're going to look at now about the style of writing articles. Some good vocabulary there right at the beginning. I'll come back to that at a later point. The first thing that we see in the introduction is that we are trying to engage with the reader. Engaging with the reader is all about trying to show how close we are to the reader, showing that we think in the same way that the reader thinks. The reader and ourselves, we are quite similar. The reason we do this is because we want the reader to read our article. And if we can show that we are thinking in the same way as the reader, then we are writing an effective article. So we try to engage with the reader, and the ways that we can engage with the reader is the first thing we can do is we can write a we statement. This we statement is trying again to show that we, the writer, and the readers are very similar. We all think alike. We think the same things. We do the same things. We see the same things. And so we use a we statement. We've all been in the situation when we're sat with our friends in absolute silence and all of us are looking at a screen. This is a fairly typical situation, and we have all been in that situation where all of our friends are all looking at their mobile phones. This is a we statement, and it also includes the word us, again showing that me, the writer of this article, and you, the reader of this article, we are the same. This is trying to engage with the reader. In the introduction you can also ask direct questions. Again, this is trying to reduce the distance between the writer and the reader. Asking a direct question. These are techniques that you would definitely never do when writing formally. When we're writing formally, we tend to emphasize the distance, or we attempt to show that we are not too close to the person that we're writing to. We don't try to give the impression that we, the writer and the reader, are the same. We try to, if anything, emphasize the distance between us. But what we're looking at now is an article, and in the article we try to show how close we are, how proximate we are to the reader. We can ask direct questions, we can use a we statement, we can show similarities between us. So this is our introduction. The tone of your writing will depend on the publication that you're writing for. But in an article, you do need to be interesting and you do try to engage the reader. You can use idiom and you can use interesting expressions. You should try to use more ambitious vocabulary. So this very good start, killing the art of conversation. Sat in absolute silence. This is good, ambitious vocabulary. Other absolutely invaluable, good, ambitious vocabulary. It's liking and poking, these are modern terminology. Dumbing down, a nice phrasal verb. This is a nice expression. A greater quantity, but a lower quality. Nice fixed expressions. Try not to use too much of the vocabulary that was in the initial question. Try to use your own expressions. Try to use your own vocabulary. Not lift too much from the question. So these are some of the stylistic features of writing an article. Thinking about the tone and referring to the idea that I talked about just before, generally speaking, an article will not be formally written. So we do not have to be overly precise. When you're writing formally, you do need to be precise, you do need to keep to the facts. We tend to write in a more controlled way. When we write an article, we can use approximation and we can use exaggeration. Approximation at least once an hour, the majority of us. This is an approximation and an exaggeration. In the region of 5 hours, this is a nice approximation. The point is, in other ones, about 3 times a week. We're not being precise, we're not being exact as you would do when writing formally. And that's fine. An article, remember, is to engage or to entertain, and so we don't have to give pure facts. Next point, we can write with enthusiasm, and we can write personally. So the enthusiasm, I love it, or my friend loves it. I find something absolutely invaluable. This is enthusiasm and personal experience. We can use exclamation marks. These are used particularly in the summary, the final line, because we try to end our summary, we try to end our article on quite a strong note. And so an exclamation is a very strong way of ending your article. We can use contractions. Unlike formal writing where we would not use contractions, we can use contractions. And there's a couple of examples. We can include anecdote. The anecdote here, a friend of mine has really good friends from his last school and they Skype about 3 times a week. My personal experience of what's up. I use it to check what time I have to be home, to see what homework I have, and even to check if I need to feed the dog. Use anecdote, personalise your writing. We can ask direct questions. This is very frequently done in the introduction. We ask a direct question of the reader. We can also use imperatives. The imperative is right at the end. So watch out, take care, be careful. Again, this is part of our summarising strongly. I'm sorry, you might be able to hear snoring in the background. That's my puppy. She's quite happily sleeping here. Sorry to get so distracted. We can use imperatives, as I was saying, use imperatives to end strongly, to end your summary strongly. We can also use superlatives. not I superlatives. We can use superlatives, and the superlative here we have that's, well, actually I think it's a comparative structure that's behaving in a superlative way. It's made communication easier than it's ever been before. This is a slight exaggeration, or it's an approximation of the truth. I'm not sure that it has necessarily made it easier, but we can use this exaggerated language, we can use this superlative, these strong expressions to give emphasis to our writing and to make it more attractive. So these are some stylistic features to writing an article. Next, we're going to consider some of the structure of writing an article. So, the first thing is, in the introduction, we would very often use a signpost sentence. A signpost sentence is the sentence which indicates the order of the main paragraphs. Main paragraph 1, main paragraph 2. The signpost sentence in this introduction is this sentence here. Is this time chatting really improving our relationships, or are we wasting our time? The signpost sentence indicates that in the first main paragraph I'm going to talk about this idea. Is chatting really improving our relationships? While in the second main paragraph I'm talking about, is it simply wasting our time? This signpost sentence serves the purpose of preparing the reader for the argument that you're going to present, and it tells your reader that in the first paragraph I'm going to talk about this idea of communication being better or improving our relationships, while in the second main paragraph I'm going to talk about the negative features, how it could just be that I'm wasting my time, that this communication is not improving the situation. So this signpost sentence helps prepare the reader for the argument that you're going to present. It also clearly shows the examiner, the reader, that you have planned your work and that you know what you're going to say. This is very useful if you can write a signpost sentence in your introductory paragraph. The next point is to try to use a topic sentence for each of the main paragraphs. The topic sentence in the main paragraphs will be the first sentence. First sentence, paragraph 1, first sentence of paragraph 2. The topic sentence introduces the subject of the paragraph. So the subject of this paragraph is how technology has made communication easier. And that is what the whole paragraph is talking about, how technology has made communication easier. The next paragraph, its topic sentence, introduces the idea that not everyone agrees. There is another side to this argument. And this paragraph is considering the other side to the argument. The suggestion that technology is not benefiting communication. So we use topic sentences to introduce the subject of the main paragraphs. Topic sentences should be short and simple. Topic sentences should introduce the subject of the whole of the paragraph. In the main paragraphs, we only need 2 or 3 ideas per paragraph. The 2 ideas here in paragraph 1 is advances in technology abroad. The first idea is this idea of Skype and how Skype is useful, and the second idea is that WhatsApp is useful. The next paragraph is the question about whether the technology is dumbing down language, making language more stupid, this idea of liking and poking. That's one idea. The next idea is that we spend time talking to friends on the other side of town, but we're not going out and playing with friends. So 2 ideas. You only need 2 ideas per paragraph. This next point is very important. Try to develop your ideas with either an example or the result of the idea. So we have, I find WhatsApp to be absolutely invaluable. That's the idea, and then we expand on the idea by giving an example. In fact, we give 3 examples. This is a very simple way of developing your ideas so that you actually produce more written work. You have your idea and then you develop it. You give an example, you give an explanation, you show the result of your idea. In the final paragraph, try to summarize your ideas. Do not introduce a new idea in the summary. So we have, as our summary, we have communication is easier, and that's summarizing what you said in paragraph 1, the first main paragraph. And then you say, I am aware that I have to look after my real friendships and spend time face to face, which is summarizing what you said in paragraph 2. We have not introduced a new idea. And then we also try to finish on a strong note. We've used an exclamation and an imperative. You can also use thought-provoking statement or even a question, but here we've used an imperative. Watch out! And an exclamation. Technology could be killing a friendship near you. Strong, emphatic language, trying to engage the reader from the beginning right to the end. Those are some of the techniques, stylistically and structurally, that I would like you to try and introduce into your work. The key word is trying to engage. Good luck. I look forward to receiving your work. Thank you for listening.